Good evening. I'd like to now convene the regular business meeting of the Plainville Board of Education for Monday, March 14th, 2022. Crystal, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to get started with our special presentation for the evening, the Portrait Pioneer Award.
Thank you. It's my pleasure and honor tonight to acknowledge and recognize, I see him in the back there, our Portrait Pioneer recipient for this month, Lowell Humphrey. Lowell is he's our security officer and a residency officer for the town as well, security officer here at the Plainville High School. I have a statement here from Principal Johnson of the high school, but I would like to say that, you know, when I met Lowell, I actually hired him, I think 11 years ago. Is that right, Lowell? Yeah, it was my second year as principal here. And Mr. Humphrey came into the interview, and we had several applicants, and a very mild-mannered, quiet-spoken, soft-spoken gentleman, and I knew he had been a long-time chief of police in the Canton Police Department, lots of police experience I think over 35 years, 40 years, Lowell? Yes. And just incredibly knowledgeable, but as knowledgeable and as experienced as he was in law enforcement, he was just equally calm and cool and collected. And I wasn't sure to meet the mild-mannered man that was Lowell Humphrey, how he would do with, as he calls them, the Utes of Plainville High School. But I think everyone who knows Lowell really gets to know him and loves Lowell. He's always here. He's here now. He's working we have 2 state basketball games taking place here tonight. Everyone greets him in the hallway, and he greets them, and he knows about their lives and how they're doing, and he's just a resource and an advocate and an ally, and just someone who just knows everybody, and everybody knows Lowell, and everyone respects Lowell. So I've just been very grateful to have Lowell as a part of our community. He liked it here so much that he moved from Canton to Plainville, so he lives right down the road, and he lives in town with his lovely wife, Dearest, who's with him tonight. I just know you by Dearest, and you make the most delicious candy-coated pecans every Christmas, so thank you for those. But and a very proud father of their daughter as well. But couldn't ask for a better person than Lowell Humphrey. So now I'm going to read what Mr. Johnson has to say. Sorry, you know me, I tend to carry on, especially about topics I really like a lot. So, Chief Lowell Humphrey is an invaluable resource to all of us at PHS. The wealth of knowledge and training he brings from his years in law enforcement make him an exceptional asset to our school. I can't say how many times he has told me, "Hey boss, I would keep an eye on that," or "Hey boss, you might want to check in with this student." He has the innate ability to predict things before they happen and read people's emotions. In addition, in the rare event when we have had a medical emergency in the building, Lowell is someone always the first one there. Somehow always the first one there. He continues his passion to serve and protect others, even in his quote-unquote retirement. He is so much more than this, though, to PHS. He has developed relationships with almost every student who has walked through the hallways of PHS in his time here. I would venture to guess that there is not a single student at PHS right now who does not know Mr. Humphrey. There are students at PHS for whom Mr. Humphrey is their trusted adult. In addition, he always volunteers to work activities and events outside of the school day. You can find him at most athletic contests, school events, or other activities in the background, making sure everyone is safe. Mr. Humphrey is a vital part of who we are at PHS. He embodies every day what it means to be a Blue Devil. And I'll just add one last thing. We were having some difficulties on one of our buses at the middle school of late, and we're trying to hire someone to work as a paraprofessional and a monitor. In the meantime, I tapped Lowell's shoulder and I said, would you be willing to drive over after school and just help us out with this kind of a bit of an unruly bus situation? And Mr. Humphrey, without hesitation, absolutely. Well, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, but I can do it after that. So, and it's been a complete turnaround on that bus since he's been on there, and it's not because he rules through fear or intimidation, because when you meet Lowell, he's not a very fear-inspiring or intimidating person, but he has those relationships and that character that you just want to be, you want to be accepted by him. So, all right, enough. I think this is the longest Portrait Pioneer recognition in the history of Portrait Pioneers. So, but you've been here a long time. Well, come on down, and we'll give you your certificate in the front. Thank you.
Okay, before we start with the approval of minutes, can I get a nomination to move? Oh my God, I can't read this. I need your glasses, I'm sorry. Oh my God, this is awful. Before we get started with the approval of minutes, could I get a motion to move item M, the approval of the Plainville Association of School Administrators contract, July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025, from unfinished business to item D of new business.
Madam Chairman, I so move.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we have two sets of minutes this evening. If there are no objections or corrections to the minutes, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve items A and B, which includes minutes of the February 14th regular business meeting of the board and minutes of the February 23rd special meeting.
So moved.
Are there any corrections or concerns? Do we have a motion to approve items A and B?
So moved. Motion to approve item A and B.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to citizens' comments. If you would like to address members of the Plainville Board of Education, you are welcome to do so. You will have 3 minutes to voice the matter at hand or your area of concern. Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education?
Hi, my name is Catherine Curtis. I live at 15 Maiden Lane. I'd like to start tonight by taking time to acknowledge the lives of the 56 Plainville residents who died of COVID, and to recognize and speak to their families, their loved ones. Your mothers and fathers, your siblings, your children, your friends and coworkers matter, and I am so sorry for your loss. While I am grateful that the number of COVID deaths isn't much higher in our town, we cannot forget those who have died. There is a good reason all of the safety measures were put in place at the beginning of this pandemic. And while it has been hard on our children and all of us, the measures did work. Now we have moved on to this new phase where we are relaxing masking and distancing and hoping that our numbers stay low enough for our hospitals to treat our ill. Whether this is the right timing remains to be seen, but here's the main reason for my speaking tonight. I want the person who has been meeting with the health department, who has been following the data and listening to the experts to make any decisions about our school and the health of our school community. That person is our superintendent, Mr. Stephen LePage. I strongly oppose giving this board the power to circumvent him. Mr. LePage has guided our district through this difficult time and has the best interests of our students and staff at heart. Some of you seem to be motivated by partisan politics and CPAC conspiracies. It's truly disheartening that we have to fight to have our kids protected during a once-in-a-century global pandemic. I wrote to this board immediately after that shameful Zoom meeting in which Ms. Buchanan tried to undermine the authority of our superintendent. It was disgraceful, and I'm still waiting for her to publicly apologize to him. Instead of trying to micromanage professionals, I would appreciate it if this board would allow the people we pay for their expertise to administrate and to lead. I know I speak for many Plainville parents. If these unprofessional actions by this board cause us to lose Mr. LePage to another district, you will have a very unhappy town and a very unhappy electorate. Please do your job and let him do his. Thank you.
Madam Chair. My name is Gail Dennehy, and I am a town resident, a voter, and the Republican Town Committee chairperson in Plainville. I wanted to talk briefly on my thoughts as to the Board of Education special town meeting held last month on February 23rd. Although there were some errors made last month at the meeting procedurally, I believe that we as human beings all make mistakes. But we can learn from this and come away from the knowledge of how to do better the next time. I also believe that there should be a thoughtful and mature respect for each other and to be able to ask questions and learn from each other. And also to be able to disagree with grace, to be able to agree to disagree with grace and give each other the benefit of the doubt and move on from there. Last November 2021, the voters spoke as to the candidates to be elected to the Board of Education. Let's stick to addressing the questions and the concerns that the Plainville voters have and give our children the best education possible. That, I believe, is the key focus here at our Board of Education meetings, to learn more about the education curriculum and the knowledge that all the BOE members have to share with all of us from the many meetings, the forums, the seminars, and the like that they attend. I thank all of you for your time, your energy, your education, your expertise, and your experience that you all have, and look forward to your great ideas and conversations from all of you moving forward. I thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. First, I would like to say I'm not very good in speaking in front of a lot of people, but I'm going to do my best. My name is Gwen Carrier. I have been a resident and a voter of the town of Plainville for most of my adult life. My children went to school here, and now my great-grandchildren attend the Plainville School. I believe that the Board of Education member are voted in to represent the parent and the children
attending school here. And the Board of Education members set policy for the superintendent of the school and the Department of Education to follow. It is my hope that those two areas of our government will work well together for the benefit of the children of Plainville. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank
Good
you.
evening. Yeah.
Good morning. I was just kidding. Good evening. And I'm Dana Snell, and I live at 18 Newton Avenue. So I come here today because I've been paying attention to the process and the governance of education. Listening to the school administrators take the time and the attention to highlight the accomplishments, developing strategies and to implement programs and learning opportunities to create a healthy, safe environment for our children. I look at the faces of the kids as they walk down the halls and on the playgrounds, and there's so many smiles. And I know it's because of the board and I know it's because of the teachers and the administrators and how happy the children are to be in school. And we want our kids to be healthy and smart and competitive. This happens because you can see the commitment of those that work with them, and it comes from the top. People are trained and educated and go to college and learn how to implement these programs, and it's your responsibility as the board to get to know them and to learn from them, and to recognize what your role and responsibility is as a board member. And that's not necessarily to micromanage or to impose some of your own personal ideas, but to learn. I am excited about how well we can do things here as a team, but we have to be a team. And we have to be respectful of each other and the process. I'm going to come back and say stuff all the time, so start getting used to me. I'm going to be your cliffhanger. The only other thing I just want to say is last time we were here, there were some young kids that talked about their experiences. And I want to just reach out to Ms. Buchanan and say to her that although we heard you spend a lot of time at the end of that meeting saying that you were trying to learn and that you were inquiring, but one of the things that I would like to ask you to think about was maybe to just sit back and apologize to the little kids who said, what you said was hurtful to me, because Ms. Buchanan, I don't believe in my soul that you came here to hurt anybody. That's all.
Hi, my name is Nolan Meehan, and I'm in 6th grade. After the last Board of Ed meeting, Mrs. Buchanan said that my mom's made me talk at the meeting about her using a racial slur and try and take down the pride flag. I was insulted that just because I'm a kid that she would think that I don't have an opinion about racial slurs or being against my race, or that I wouldn't care about there being a pride flag at the high school. Mrs. Buchanan also asked why people can use the words black and brown to describe a group of people and not yellow people. First off, I choose to come and talk last month about the pride flag and about Mrs. Buchanan using a racial slur because I was disappointed that someone who's on the Board of Education would use a racial slur against Asians. Being Asian made me sad that someone would use a racial slur like that. I also come to the Board of Ed to speak about the Progress Pride flag and how it should stay up. I spoke about the pride flag because having the flag up makes all the students feel safer and happier. Secondly, Mrs. Buchanan asked why people can use the words black, brown to describe a group of people and not yellow people. Well, Asians are not yellow. I am not yellow. Calling someone yellow is racist and different than calling someone brown or black, because Asian Americans do not want to be called yellow. In the 16th century, the Europeans first called the Asians white because of their culture, literacy, and civilization. The Europeans said Asians were like them in many ways. In their mind, being white means that they are good and powerful. When the Europeans tried to change the Asians' religion from Buddhism to Christianity, the Asians did not want to. This made the Europeans not want to call them white anymore because white to them meant powerful and good. So the Europeans called the Asians yellow. They called them yellow so to put an image in their head that they were different in a bad way. This is why you should never use the term yellow people. Yellow is a term invented by the Europeans to make Asians seem less human. Thank you to all the Board of Ed members that are supporting keeping the pride flag up, and thank you Mrs. Roberts and Mr. Cornelius for putting up the Plainville Care sign at the middle school.
Proud of that kid. Laura Meehan for Orchard Lane. It is expected that Board of Ed members will not always agree on educational politics. Should funds be allocated for a new playground or a soccer field? Should we hire another science teacher or another world language teacher? These are expected differences in opinions from caring adults who share a common goal of how can we support our students and provide them with the best possible educational experience in our schools. Unfortunately, this year, we've heard views from some board members that are not equal differences of opinion, but are just simply wrong. Last month, I stood before this board and voiced my outrage at Rachel Buchanan's racist use of the term yellow people in reference to Asian students. I expected that Rachel might issue an apology or attempt to backpedal. I did not anticipate, however, her taking to social media to justify her use of this hurtful term. She posted these questions, and I quote, "Black and brown okay and necessary, but yellow is a racial slur? Why are black and brown not racial slurs?" End quote. The answer to these two questions are really basic. Yes, black and brown are currently socially acceptable and appropriate terms to use, and yellow is considered derogatory. It's okay if you don't understand why. I think now we do. It's not okay for you to use your ignorance as an excuse. It reflects poorly on our board, our schools, and on our town. You are on the Board of Education. Educate yourself. My sincerest hope is that every adult sitting in this room is here because they care about our children. Showing up is the first step, but it's not enough. Our students deserve better. Our town and our schools have changed dramatically since you or I are students here. If you don't have children in our schools, it is especially important to learn about the unique challenges our students are experiencing in 2022. Learn about their rich cultures and heritages. They are bringing this to the classroom. Learn about the new technology and career fields that our students will be entering in our ever-changing world. If we want to create lifelong learners, we need to model that. If you want a seat at this table, you need to be willing to do your homework. Our children deserve it. That some new board members would think that they are better equipped than Mr. LePage to make decisions for our schools further shows how much they have to learn. Mr. LePage is an accomplished teacher, administrator, and superintendent. He knows and mentors our students. He knows our staff, our teachers, and our families. If you ask him, he will tell you, the Plainville Community Schools are a family. To the board members who continually fight for our teachers and our students, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I see your tireless efforts, and I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing for all of us. So thank you.
Cheryl Provost, 6 Overlook Drive. I've not spoken at Board of Ed meetings in years, and now I find myself addressing this board for the second time in 2 months. That should be an indication of how concerned I am. I have 3 things tonight. First, to thank the board for passing the superintendent's budget on to the town council with a unanimous vote. It was the right thing to do. Now, I hope the town council does the right thing to protect my property value and passes it without cuts on to the citizens for a vote. Second, I'm here to show my support and give my thanks to the superintendent for everything he's done to keep things moving forward the last couple of years. Times have been challenging, to say the least, and based on discussions with people in other towns and in other states, Plainville has been impressive. That has required extraordinary effort on the part of teachers, staff, and the administration. It also doesn't happen in a vacuum. It takes leadership, and we've been very lucky to have this superintendent leading the district. Third, I need to ask the majority members of this Board of Education how many years' experience they have in education, the degrees you hold, your levels of certification. I understand there is no response to public comments. My question is rhetorical. My point is that you are not qualified, not one of you, to run a school district. That's why we hire a superintendent. During my time on the Board of Ed, I was lucky enough to have Becky Tyrell as a mentor. She taught me that one of the most important tasks as a board member was to ensure that the right people are driving the bus. I'm proud to say that I was on the board that brought Steve LePage to Plainville. We have the right person driving the bus. Somehow, the majority members of this board want to replace that bus with a clown car. You know, little car at the circus, people pouring out all over it, like in a chaotic fashion. The bus moves down the road in a clear direction. Sometimes it has to slow down, sometimes it has to speed up to accommodate changes and the challenges of moving forward. Takes a good driver. We have a good driver, and we're lucky to have him. The clown car, full of chaos, slows down forward motion. Stop trying to derail the forward motion of this school district. Let the people who are qualified to manage, manage. Do what is expected of you in your role as members of the Board of Education, and stop playing your own agendas.
Melissa Sweeney, 40 Glenwood Drive. Good evening. I'm here to express my concern with last month's meeting. Some board members are in support of potentially creating policy around future decisions in regard to the pandemic due to the belief that that's what the constituents want. I want to clearly state, this is not an opinion held by me or so many other Plainville parents. Mr. LePage has made difficult and thoughtful decisions in alignment with public health guidance and has successfully gotten us through some of the most difficult times. The decisions he made during this pandemic did not hold our students back any further than necessary, and he made this happen as safely as possible. As a reminder, when schools had options to go remote or have prolonged hybrid models, we went back. Plainville students had more opportunities to be in the classroom than many in our own state and even country. With every feasible option to have less restrictions, Mr. LePage took them with guidance and mitigation strategies in place to make it happen safely. When masks became optional, he supported that as well. I cannot understand why, at this point, some members of the board propose motions to consider any policy that would impede on his ability to make future decisions without the board's interference. His actions simply do not merit this type of proposal. I am strongly against any such policy or change. Additionally, I'm very concerned with the statements and actions of a few of the board members. Rachel Buchanan, you stated constituents are asking questions about the burden of proof scientifically. Board of Education meetings are not the place for these questions to be answered, and you're not qualified to try to answer them. It is not the responsibility of town members to try to educate those who keep their heads in the sand, especially not at the expense of our students, staff, and educators. You said asking questions is how you learn.
We don't have time to educate you. It is your responsibility, and as well as the other board members, to educate yourselves. It was very clear to us that were watching that meeting that several members appeared to reluctantly vote yes to that motion. I urge all board members to cast votes with the best interests of our students, staff, and families. Those are who you are here to represent, and we need you to do better for our community, and I hope if the time comes, you do the right thing. The ask for needing education about science or even flags is further proof that we should not have a policy in place that would hinder a superintendent's ability to make swift decisions. We have a highly qualified superintendent. Mr. LePage has demonstrated being a strong leader, and I ask you to make his job easier, not more difficult. Thank you, Mr. LePage, and the rest of the board for being so focused and steadfast on completing the actual work of the Board of Ed and supporting our schools. Thank you.
Benjamin Gutterman, 5 Dickman Road. It's unfortunate that I and many other citizens can't come to these meetings and talk about the upcoming budget, district updates, or student accomplishments. Instead, we have to speak about our support for the superintendent, who I don't always agree with, but know that every decision he makes is about the safety and well-being of all the students, staff, and the entire Plainville community. He was hired to do a very tough job and does it very well. Or we have to speak about how the meetings are run. Madam Chair, please learn how to run a meeting, and most of all, know what you are voting for before you vote. Or we have to speak about a board member going after the social justice clubs and the banners hanging on the high school. After only 4 months, it has become abundantly clear that Ms. Buchanan has zero interest in the betterment of Plainville Community Schools. Instead, she just wants to create havoc. She hides behind the guise of I'm just speaking for the constituents that she claims 1 to 3 reach out to her every day, which is laughable since not one of them ever come to a meeting and spoke about any of these issues. Yes, it is true she was the highest vote getter. I'd like to know how many of those voters actually have school-age children. She claims that she is just asking questions so she can be more informed, but when those questions are answers, and if she doesn't like the answers, she completely ignores the answer. Perfect example is the history of the gay pride flag and its evolution over the years, that she still calls the non-existent progressive flag. She makes a statement supporting the middle school child that made a statement at the February meeting, but then goes on her own social media and says that child is a pawn being sent up by their parent. The bottom line is she seeks confirmation bias, not answers. When someone, especially an elected official, shows you who they are, believe them and hold them accountable. Unfortunately, parents of Plainville, pay attention. Extreme right-wing national politics has infected our town. We need to do all we can to stop it.
Good evening. My name is Anka Behrens Cook from 55 Redstone Hill in Plainville. I feel like I should say probably more than I'm going to, but public speaking is not my thing, so I'm going to keep it simple. I just wanted to say that I do not believe that the Board of Ed should be involved with any day-to-day decisions that Mr. LePage may need to make in light of COVID or anything else. He was hired as our superintendent, has proven again and again that he has the best interests of our students and our staff in mind with every single decision he makes. He's done an amazing job throughout the pandemic. I can't thank him enough for all he's already done. I trust him to continue to make the best choices for our Plainville schools community. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to address the Board of Education? Third and final time, does anyone wish to address the Board of Education? Thank you. Does anyone have a report for Mrs. Puglisi for the council liaison? No? Steve, you can do the superintendent report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to welcome, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who offered their support, and I do appreciate it very much. We're working as a group, as a Board of Education, with me as the leader of the district to really work together to continue to improve every day in how we lead this district. I'll continue to do my best for you. I appreciate all the kind words. I believe everyone on the board has good intentions and what they want for this district. I won't defend any one individual person, or I just want to say that collectively we're all here to do a job. I'm 100% committed to Plainville. I plan to be here for as long as I'll be tolerated, and I love this town and great people, and we're going to work hard to do our best for you. So it's a little bit of a digression from my introduction of my wonderful elementary team, but I'd like to introduce our outstanding elementary school team to present the elementary strategic update. We've heard from our high school and our middle school with outstanding reports about how we're doing as a district. So now it's the elementary turn. I think Mrs. Graham-Douglas, I believe you're going to kick things off and introduce one at a time as we go through the presentation.
Good evening.
We all know Tawana Graham-Douglas as our Director of Curriculum Instruction Assessment. Been here a very long time, does a tremendous job. Tawana, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LePage. The elementary principals forced me to come up this evening, so they're a forceful bunch, as you will see. So I would like to start off by saying good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to share a few things about what is happening at the elementary school level. This evening, you will hear presentations from our elementary school principals, starting with Mr. Andrew Batchelder from Wheeler Elementary School, followed by Mr. Jeff Wallowitz from Linden Street School, and our session will close with Alicia Adorato from Tafalon Elementary School. And you will also hear from our instructional leaders in both literacy and math, Kirsten Pinner, who does math, and Wendy Bender, who does ELA, or literacy. Their presentation will give you an idea of what is happening in the areas of equity, social and emotional learning, and mastery. So again, we thank you for this opportunity, and we will begin with Mr. Andrew Batchelder.
Thank you, Mrs. Graham-Douglas. Good evening, everyone. The next few slides will give you a window into seeing what social emotional learning, or SEL as we call it, looks like in our elementary schools. Next slide, please. For students to reach their academic goals, they need to achieve the social emotional learning competencies pictured on the right side of this slide. Effective cooperative learning with peers is paramount to student success. So if you look at the right side of the slide, you will see the areas in orange, yellow, and green are the social emotional competencies. And then the top left of this slide is just a quote that resonates with me, because in the process of teachers working with kids on social emotional learning, they develop relationships, and it does promote academic achievement. Next slide, please. So to promote the achievement of those social emotional competencies, we use an approach called RULER. RULER is an approach to social emotional learning designed to include everyone and to be integrated into all aspects of school. Each letter in RULER stands for one of the building blocks of emotional intelligence. The first R in RULER stands for recognizing emotions. Students learn how to know what they are feeling and how they know what others are feeling through facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice. The U stands for understanding emotions. Students learn the causes of emotions and how emotions influence their thoughts and decisions so they can make better predictions about their own and others' behaviors. The L stands for labeling or naming. Students learn how to connect an emotional experience to specific feeling words to describe it. And E stands for expressing emotions. Students learn when and how to express emotions in different situations and with different people. And the last R stands for regulate. Students learn effective strategies for managing their emotions. Next slide, please. So there are several key strategies students learn to achieve those 5 skills mentioned in the previous slide. The first one is the charter. At the start of the school year, teachers facilitate the establishment of classroom norms. Students anonymously provide input as to how they want to feel each day and when they come to school, how they want to feel when they come to school, and how they pledge to help one another feel that way on a daily basis. Once completed, the charter is posted in the classroom and referred to throughout the day as needed and when appropriate. The second strategy is the mood meter, and I think this short video clip does a nice job of explaining the function of the mood meter.
Each quadrant of the mood meter is associated with different kinds of thinking and learning activities. When students are in the yellow, they may experience emotions that promote creative thinking and the generation of new ideas. Brainstorming, energetic group activities, and creative problem solving are best done in the yellow. When students are in the red, they may experience emotions that heighten awareness and keep students on their toes. The red is good for competitive activities, like debating, or passionate expression, like promoting a cause. When students are in the blue, they may experience emotions that help them focus for deductive reasoning and critical thinking. In addition, the blue emotions prime students to relate well to others' misfortune, building empathy. The blue promotes success for tasks like proofreading, editing, and detailed analysis. When students are in the green, they may experience emotions that promote self-reflection and consensus building. Students feel comfortable, relaxed, and calm. Activities that involve collaboration are ideal for the green. The best teachers differentiate instruction using the mood meter and capitalize on all quadrants, knowing that all emotions matter.
So teachers use this mood meter throughout the day to teach students to recognize how they are feeling, understand their feelings, label the feeling, and then talk about it to help them regulate their feelings in various situations. Teachers also use this tool to help students understand how certain characters are feeling in a story, how the character is expressing and managing his or her own emotions, and how their emotions change throughout the story. The third strategy is the meta moment, which is used to help regulate your emotions in a given moment. It is a process for extending the time between the experience of an intense emotion and how a student responds to that emotion, so that the student can make better choices in the heat of the moment. In other words, for example, when students begin to feel angry, they can pause and think about and picture what their best self looks like and make the most helpful, effective response. And lastly, teachers have access to a wide array of lessons and resources that are organized sequentially in folders to teach all these strategies and skills. Next slide, John. Thanks. So here you can see some examples of the ruler around our schools. And you can see in the bottom part of this slide that you have examples of the charters, classroom charters. The top right corner is an example of the mood meter, and the bottom slide where you see the charter champions box. Each week, each of the elementary schools recognizes students who exemplify their charter, and we recognize them over the announcements and make it a big deal of it and celebrate their success as charter champions. So I will close by saying social emotional learning has always been a focus in our schools, but especially throughout the last couple of years due to the isolation, high rate of student absences, and quarantinings our students have experienced. This work is important so students learn how to play games together, take turns, work effectively in small groups or partners, learn perspective-taking skills, and learn how to think flexibly. SEL has been and will continue to be an important part of student learning and growing each in school every day. And that concludes my portion. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wolowitz principal of Linden School, who will talk about equity.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to share some of the great things happening at the elementary level here in Plainville. About 3 weeks ago, Mr. Lewandowski shared what equity looks like at the district level, and I'll be focusing on elementary. I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Lewandowski shared in terms of why equity is one of our 3 district goals. All students deserve to be supported, taught, and challenged in an appropriate manner. No student should encounter barriers that limit access and opportunities, and a student's identity or background should not predetermine their educational outcomes. Next slide, please. Equity through data. Looking at data through one lens, even when the data is promising, can be misleading. If we look at an assessment measure over time and see strong growth, that doesn't necessarily mean we are addressing the needs of all students. For example, if we saw that we had 70% of students meet the benchmark on a reading assessment and then grew the next year to 80%, unless we look at who the 30% and 20% who didn't hit the benchmark are, we could be missing a key opportunity to provide all students with equitable access to interventions, support, and strategies. Are those 20 to 30% mostly boys, mostly girls, mostly students with English as a second language, mostly students new to our district? Until we disaggregate the data and look at it from multiple perspectives, even positive or promising data can be misleading. Next slide, please. As we look at the books that are in our schools and classroom libraries, we want all students to be able to see themselves. Like a mirror, students should be able to find books where characters look like them and have had similar life experiences. Are there books with children in wheelchairs? Are there books with children who have been adopted? Are there books with children with different skin colors or from different countries? Seeing yourself in books is an important part of feeling that you belong. You are seen and you are part of the school experience. Equally important, students should be able to look out the window and read about characters who have had different experiences than they've had. This enriches our students' school experience and allows them to gain empathy, insight, and understanding of their peers that they attend school with each day. Next slide, please. School should not be done to children, it should be done with them. So having children and families be a part of any process is critical. It's not different with equity efforts. We invite our students to be part of morning announcements and be a powerful voice for themselves and their peers. We've had students share about people who've had an impact on our world during Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, Women's History Month, and Music in Our Schools Month this year alone. We've had students teach their peers how to say greetings in multiple languages. We've had a student sing happy birthday in Polish to the entire school, and she was so excited and so cute. I wish you all could have seen her sing the song. Families have come into our classrooms, which provide amazing opportunities with students. One of our very own board members came into her daughter's classroom, read a Patricia Polacco story, and then did a traditional egg painting activity with the class. Families have come in and read stories in multiple languages. We've had a parent come in and explain why in some Spanish-speaking countries, people have 2 last names. Equity is about recognizing and celebrating differences, while also recognizing that there are many ways we are very similar and even the same. I'd like to close with a clip from Wheeler School of students participating in morning announcements and educating the staff and their peers.
Last time we taught you to say I am sorry. To say I am sorry in Spanish, you say lo siento.
Today is Read Across America. This week we are going to teach you how to say Happy Read Across America Day. To say Happy Read Across America Day, you say Feliz Día de la Lectura a través de América.
Turn to a partner in your class and practice saying Feliz Día de la Lectura a través de América. Thank you for learning Spanish with us. This week we will be back next week to teach you more words and phrases.
Tenga un buen día. Have a great day.
Thank you. And next up, Principal of Taflon School, Mrs. Adorado.
No pressure at all back there. It's nice to see everybody today. So you heard Mr. Batchelder lay the foundation for how we create a safe environment built for all of our students in success and growth. And you heard Mr. Wallowitz speak to how we work to include all of our children in that. And so I'll speak a little bit about the content. When we think about what we want our children to learn and how we want them to learn it, one of our most powerful strategies for teachers is knowing and understanding not just the skills that students need to master in their current grade level, but also those that are learned in their prior grade level and the next grades. And we collaborate together during PLCs and grade level meetings to fully understand this work. We recognize that unfortunately there's been some interrupted learning for many of our students, and we use an acceleration mindset when making instructional decisions regarding lessons in our classrooms. We do much of this work from a district level so that all 3 of our elementary schools and every child and teacher know the overall expectations and are consistently able to be provided with a high level of targeted instruction for their needs. Every day, our teachers use all they know about our children, including universal screens, diagnostic assessments, unit level assessments, and daily check-ins to guide next steps for the needs of every student. These assessments help us to figure out what our students own and where the areas are where they may need additional support. We meet together to review data independently with our grade level colleagues and with resource teachers and administrators across the district. During these meetings, we look for trends, think deeply about our student needs, discuss best practices, and plan for next steps. Our expectations of all of our children remain high, as does our belief that every child in our classrooms are capable of doing the work and making growth and progress, regardless of, and quite honestly, possibly in spite of, that interrupted learning that did occur. Wendy Bender and Kirsten Penner are going to take over from here to share with you the specifics regarding what this learning and literacy, math, and science looks like in our classrooms. So without further ado, I introduce Wendy Bender, our elementary literacy instructional leader.
Thank you, Mrs. Adorado. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm here to share a snapshot of what literacy looks like in the Plainville Community Schools. In the interest of time, I will focus on our Tier 1 reading instruction. Tier 1 instruction is the instruction that happens for all students in the classroom. It is evidence-based and aligned with state standards. In kindergarten through 5th grade, our Tier 1 reading instruction, we use the Teachers College units of study and the 5 pillars of early literacy in alignment with the Common Core standards. We use conferring and small group instruction to differentiate instruction during independent reading. Skill groups, strategy groups, and guided reading groups are used to support students where they are in the learning continuum. Next slide, please. The National Reading Panel identified 5 key concepts at the core of every effective reading instruction program. They are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. These concepts have become known as the 5 pillars of early literacy and reading instruction. I would like to provide for you a quick glimpse at each of the pillars so you have a clearer understanding of what they are. So the first pillar is phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is the ability to identify the different sounds that make up speech. This is a completely auditory skill and is accessed through speaking and listening. I have a short video of our Hegarty program, which we use in kindergarten and 1st grade to help teach phonemic awareness. This video is of Mrs. Chimalecki's kindergarten class at Taflon.
Fade. Without what's left is aid. Say wise. Wise. Without what's left is eyes. Say goat. Goat. Without what's left is oat. Say cute. Cute. Without what's left is ute.
I will say a word. You will say that word back to me. We will change the beginning. You will tell me what is left. Say like. Like. Change oo to b, and the word is bike. Say bike. Bike. Change b to h, and the word is hike. Say hike. Hike. Change h to h, and
Sorry about that. My video skills are not that great. So that ending was pike. The second pillar of early literacy is phonics. Phonics helps students match sounds to letters or letter groups. We use foundations for this instruction in grades K through 2, and we'll be bringing the foundations curriculum to 3rd grade next year. Here is a short clip of a 1st grade lesson in Mrs. Karen Dinsmore's class at Linden Street School.
To say a word, and you're going to tap it, and then we're going to use our tile boards to build it. Ready? The first word, stick. Repeat it. Stick. Get your tappers up. Let's tap it. Stick. Stick. How many taps were in that word? How many sounds do we hear in that word? Bryce? 4. Okay, I would like you to go ahead and use your tiles to now build it. Stretch those sounds out as you move your letters. Stick. Okay, nice job. I'm going to build it on my board so that you can double check yours along with me. You can look up at the board. I'm going to stretch out each sound. Check yours. Does yours look like Miss Dinsmore's? Yes. Okay, so we heard that there were 4 sounds in this word when we tapped out in the beginning. How many letter tiles did we use though? Everett. 5. Check. How many letter tiles did we use? But how many letters are in the word Everett? 5. How come there's 5 letters but only 4 tiles?
Because a diagraph has to have 2 to make the sound.
Yeah, and what's the digraph in this word? Nice job. All right, let's clear our board away.
So I have to give Mr. Mike Zaba credit for that video. As you can see, there was a much higher quality of that video. So thank you, Mr. Zaba. Can we move to the next slide? So the next 2 pillars of literacy are fluency and vocabulary instruction. Fluency is the ability to read quickly and accurately. Vocabulary is the key to knowing more about everything. We use a variety of instructional vehicles to teach fluency and vocabulary skills. I've listed some of them here. They include, for fluency, a program called Read Live. We have Freckle, Raz Kids. We use decodable text, and we use the Storytime component of Foundations to do some of this work. For vocabulary acquisition, we use, again, Foundations. It has a component. Word study, read alouds, shared reading, and iReady. Next slide, please. The final pillar of early literacy is comprehension. Comprehension happens when words become ideas. On this slide, there is a sample of a 5th grade reader's notebook. The notebook is a way that students capture their thoughts about what they are reading. I have a short video of a 5th grade comprehension small group. This video demonstrates the comprehension work students are asked to do. Mrs. Shannon Calabro, of Wheeler, sets this lesson up, and I don't have that part to show you as the video because I did want to keep it a little bit shorter. But she sets this lesson up by reviewing relevant vocabulary and naming the learning target. She also tells students how they will know if they have hit their target and what the teacher expects students to do. This video shows how the students and teacher begin this work together.
I'm going to ask you to just read on the right-hand side those 3 paragraphs to yourself. And what is your focus going to be, Demetri?
I'm just trying to find as much things about Max as you can find.
As much information, ideas, thoughts, character traits about Max. All right, go to it. Jace, could you start reading out loud to me?
My name is Max Buchanan. The thing you should know about me is this. Even though I'm a big dude with a face like the moon and ears that stick out like radar scoops and humongous feet like that bottomless snowman, it's not I'm a real man.
Is part of the independent portion of the Teachers College workshop model. And so we combine Teachers College units of study with the 5 pillars of literacy to do this work with students. And now I'm going to hand the baton over to Mrs. Kirsten Penner, and she's going to talk to you about math and science. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me tonight. We are in our 2nd year of implementation of illustrative mathematics. IM is a rigorous problem-solving based math curriculum which links mathematical concepts with real-world scenarios and provides routine opportunities for students to build conceptual understanding. IM has embedded community building opportunities, collaboration, and follows the developmental progression of student learning. In this grade 3 example, students make a connection to a real-life situation of playing a board game, very common real-life situation, and they make sense of multiplying multiples of 10. They apply their understanding in a way that makes sense to them and collaborate with their peers to continue the activity. In the classroom, students experience problem-solving based learning, productive struggle, which supports the development of habits of mind when facing a challenge such as grit, perseverance, and resilience, all aligned with our portraits of the graduate. You'll also see independent and collaborative problem solving and communication of their mathematical thinking. Here's an example of grade 3 students communicating their mathematical thinking. You can see that student A on the left demonstrates both representational understanding and the standard algorithm. Student B demonstrates abstract understanding by using the standard algorithm paired with a written explanation of their thinking. They also have opportunities to express their thinking verbally, as you'll see. Here are some of our 1st and 5th grade students explaining their thinking to their peers.
So what I saw first was I took a pig diagram, split it into thirds, and then I showed that each third part, and then I took, it said to divide it by 1/4, so I made fourths in each third. And then I counted them all up and got 12. The next one is cut it into 4 pieces and then 4, and then split it into 4, and I got 16, 1/16. And then on the third one, I got 5 pieces split, and then 4 pieces, and I got 1/20. I did 14 plus 3 equals 17 because I did 14 dots and then 3 more, and then I counted the 14, and then I counted the 3, and then I knew it was 17.
Very.
They've come a long way with their mathematical explanations. Now I'll share a little bit about science. In science, we continue to do our work towards using the next generation science standards to guide our instruction. NGSS integrates 3 dimensions of science: practices, what scientists do; core ideas, what scientists know; and cross-cutting concepts, what scientists think and the link between various scientific ideas. NGSS is inquiry-based, similar to math, and allows for student-led exploration of concepts while following the 5E model: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. We're going to take a look at 2 components of a grade 3 NGSS unit on balanced and unbalanced forces.
That's fine. Can you walk around that way? There you go. You got it? Okay. Do you think it's gonna fall?
No.
Yes?
No. No. Yay!
Ta-da!
Cut the video.
All right, and stop.
Very brave Mr. Canaday engaged his students by participating in a phenomenon which sparks inquiry and guides the unit for further exploration. Next, you'll see the students participating in the exploring component of the NGSS unit. This is an opportunity to have hands-on experiences which deepen exploration and lead to expanding understanding of the scientific concept.
That's fine. That's fine. Can you walk around that?
I mean, it's pretty
That's
impressive.
3.
We had to watch it twice.
1, 2, 3.
Bit of fun with unbalanced forces, for sure. Next slide, please. And lastly, we're excited that the National Invention Hall of Fame Camp Invention will be returning to Plainville this June. Camp Invention is a week-long exploration of science, technology, and engineering that will be offered to grade 4 and grade 5 students. The camp influences collaboration, exploration, and discovery through hands-on STEM activities, and we're very much looking forward to it. There's some pictures from last year. We had a great time, and the students really enjoyed it, so we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Somehow, I was the one that wound up back up here twice, so you get to hear a little bit more from me, but this is a thank you. So it is March, which is Board of Education Appreciation Month, and hopefully when you walked in, you were able to see the calendars that were in front of you, as well as some notebooks and pens. We want to thank you for the hours, the time, the dedication, and support you provide to our community and district, students, and staff. We do hope you enjoy your gifts as a very small token of our appreciation. The calendars were organized and put together by the 3 elementary art teachers, Laura Reed over at Wheeler, Amanda Lewandowski, that was a tricky one, Dave, over at Linden, and Mike Zaba over at Teflon. They include artwork from students at all 3 of the elementary schools, and so we hope you enjoy them. Thank you again.
So I want to thank our elementary team for an excellent presentation. I don't know if there are any questions from board members of our outstanding elementary principals and leadership team.
Just a great job, everyone.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I had a quick question, if I may.
Sure.
I guess it would be for Ms. Graham Douglas, or it doesn't matter. I know that schools are doing a wonderful job for those students who have had regressions during the pandemic, and I applaud all your efforts. My daughter right now is in 3rd grade, so I can appreciate all the hard work and all the, math, doing math on the sidewalk chalk and trying to keep her involved, and the Zoom meetings. My question is for children who are at level or rising up, creeping higher, that need to have a little bit more challenging curriculum. Are we doing any special testing? Are we doing any, how are we managing those students to see if they need to have any more, anything else involved with their different curriculum, whether it be special reading groups or math or added sciences or music, different things like that. I didn't know if there's anything special that you're doing for those that might need, more challenging work.
Well,
And
I
thank you
will
again.
totally defer to the elementary principals if they would like to take this question, but I'll give a stab at it. So one of the magnificent things about being at the elementary level is that there is, we are able to administer universal screens, and teachers are outstanding at differentiation. So as a result of the data from the universal screen, it lets us know where students fall. So there may be students who need support, right? Kind of like the ones that you're talking about who have interruptions in their education. There are some students who are falling in between, and then there are some students who are excelling. So in your typical elementary classroom, you have teachers who have that knowledge, and they use that knowledge to support students. So if students are performing at the top of the class, so the teachers are prepared to meet them there. So they give them opportunities and additional learning experiences that enrich that, right? But the most important thing is that all of the students are getting exactly what they need, because teachers are so skilled at being able to assess where students are. They meet them where they are, and then they work towards either the end of the year goal, or in some grade levels, it's very clear that teachers work toward the end of the year goals for the next school year. So the short way of answering your question is that teachers use assessment to determine what students need, and then they give students the instruction that they need to meet them where they are.
Thank you. So it would just go then to the discussions with the individual teachers, the primary teachers, and then collaborating with them?
Yes.
If parents had concerns or questions? Okay, thank you so
Yes.
much.
Oh, please, and Mr. Wallowitz, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, that's a good question. So some of the technology we use as well, especially in like math, for example, the work is adaptive. So as students progress through the levels, the work gets more challenging for them. So the students can all be on the same technology, working at their level and working at multiple levels all at the same time. And I was actually in your daughter's classroom yesterday, and I saw a great example of what you're talking about. So some of the reading technology, like News ELA, for example, can take one article and have that same exact article written on multiple levels. So the teacher was teaching a lesson on the importance of secondary characters within a text, and then after the mini lesson, the students went into the text, again, written on multiple levels. So the students who were reading above level were reading that article at a 4th grade level, while some students were reading that same article on a 2nd grade level, and some right on grade level in 3rd grade. So I hope that answers your question.
That does. Thank you so much. I didn't realize the technology did that. That's great. Thank you.
I would just add that we have an elaborate assessment system called STAR reports, and they spit out, after the kids take these assessments, they spit out instructional plans, recommended instructional plans that teachers could defer to and use and draw from to raise the level of achievement of any student in the classroom, high, middle, low.
Thank you very much. And thank you again for all your work.
Any other questions for our elementary team? I still have more to go, as you know. You know me, I have my superintendent's update, so I'm just going to cover a few additional topics I think are of interest. I feel like I'm a little loud here. I guess I'm always a little loud. So, I just wanted to, as you saw in my newsletter, we did have a visit from the United States Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cardona, who visited Linden Street School. Mr. Wallowitz rolled out the red carpet, and we had a really nice experience with him there actually it was on February 28th. Really a terrific visit. We started the day with an amazing performance from our high school jazz band that just just blew the doors off the library. It was amazing. They just got back. Garrett, one of our student reps to the board, is a proud and talented member of the jazz band. They just got back from New Hampshire on Saturday night. I understand the roads were perfectly fine, so they had an interesting and exciting competition up in New Hampshire. So I want to thank our jazz band for being there. I want to thank Mr. Wallowitz and Mrs. Lewandowski. No relation to Mr. Lewandowski. I understand it's just a nuance in the spelling, but you know, get confused sometimes. Art teacher at Linden, among others, and our wonderful students who made banners and all kinds of greetings and special welcomes for Dr. Cardona, who was also there with his wife. It was her birthday, so they were going out for lunch after, so we thank Marissa Cardona for joining as well. So we're just really proud, excuse me, and he's been traveling since then. I'm choked up, sorry. And he did send a text message to me today with a picture of him standing in front of the banners that he wanted sent. We had a beautiful banner that was made among a number of other gifts, and that was sent to his office in Washington, D.C. And just very proud of No, it's not. It's sorry.
Joan's getting your water.
Joan, oxygen. Thank you, Joan. Joan's always there for me. All right. Back to my story. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. So anyway, we're very, very proud to be chosen. I received a call, and they asked if Plainville would be willing to host his one-year reflection of being in office. So it was a nice honor out of the entire country. A little 9-square-mile Plainville was selected, so it was very nice. And they were extremely impressed by Linden, and they would be from all of our schools if they could visit all of them. But I just wanted to give some, now that we are 2 weeks to the day since changes in the COVID mitigations and the optional mask wearing. You know, if you look around and you walk around the schools, it's become a pretty natural transition. It's nice to see lots of smiling faces, you know, and we followed all the protocols and procedures as we needed to. And when the guidance said that we could provide that option, we did. But I will say that going around to all the schools and just seeing the smiles is really nice for those who are not choosing to mask, and for those who are masking, I still see their smiles with their eyes and their personality. So, you know, when anyone's comfortable to make a different choice, that's totally up to them. And I have not heard of any issues with that. You know, it was initially brought up as a concern where there might be, you know, people making others feel bad for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, and it's been really just a natural transition. Our case numbers have been really low. We've had a couple of situations we've had to deal with and make some decisions with our COVID team, but we've done that with consultation from our health director, and things have gone really well. So, knock on wood. There's no wood in the table, so I'll just use my head. So we have had some recent concerns with other illnesses popping up. You know, with the masks, other illnesses have kind of been held at bay. So you're seeing some more symptoms. So we're just asking that parents continue to follow the newsletter went home today or is going home tomorrow with how to handle a situation if you have a child with symptoms that could possibly be COVID. So we have a letter that went home with direct guidance from our nurses and additional support that will be provided for those situations. Like any time, we don't want sick children coming to school because it can put others at risk of getting sick as well, whether it's the flu or strep throat or perhaps COVID. So let's hope things continue to go well as they have. Our security measures, upgrades, and updates, I just wanted to provide some updates to the board and to the public, but school securities are really our top priority, making sure everyone's safe, physically safe, in addition to the mentally and healthy and well. We want everyone to be safe and secure. So we've taken a lot of steps and measures over the years. We continue that process of keeping our community very safe in our schools. We've partnered with the Plainville Police Department. our new chief, Chief Van Galley, and I have we met for about 90 minutes when I first met him, and we've met with some security technology integration companies since then. We've been fortunate to have worked on some pretty substantial grants for interoperability communications and security systems. I want to thank Sam Adlerstein, my Director of Business and Operations, and Steve Bussell and Kevin Ross, our IT Director. Basically the three of them doing a lot of that work. We were awarded a grant that has a district payment, but we had to purchase things anyway for our technology upgrades. But the grant's about $430,000 that was awarded to Plainville schools for those security upgrades that include the ability to communicate more effectively and efficiently during a crisis or at any time, cameras, panic systems, things of that nature that we've done a lot of work on over the years, but the funding has been awarded, so we're excited about that. We also just received another grant that was written for about $22,000, of which we have about an $8,000, our 33% or 32% that the district pays. So I guess the only last thing I'll say is that we've had some growing issues and concerns with vaping at the middle and high school, as many schools around the state and around the country have had. We are in the process of, we have selected through our Steve Bussell, again, our facilities director, in cooperation with our team, working with a vendor, we've selected a company that's going to be installing vape sensors. It'll sense vape, it'll sense regular vape THC. It also has, this is a bit scary, but has it tracks sound in a building. So if there's a loud bang, such as a gunshot, it would track that as well and alert the police to exactly where that came from. So we all hope that never happens, obviously in Plainville, but it has many different capabilities. It also has vandalism detection. So lots of built-in security with those, and those will go in a number of locations, bathrooms in both of our middle and high school. So that's just something we're always looking at ways of increasing our security and safety in many different ways. I just wanted to take this chance to share that on April 21st, we will have our superintendents and district showcase. Last year we did it through a Bitmoji classroom, which was a lot of fun. I had quite a bit of help, actually. Ms. Benner and others helped on that. We won some awards from CABE, and it gave us a chance to highlight many of the things that make Plainville a tremendous, outstanding district. But we're going to do it in person this year. Hopefully we'll have some performances from different groups, and I may have to ask someone in the jazz band to see what they can do. But April 21st, and we'll start in here most likely is the plan, and then we'll transition to other places in the building for some demonstrations, performances, and to give you a chance to learn about what's happening in our schools in kind of an interactive way. I want to thank again Sam Adlerstein and Steve Bussell for their work on a number of solar applications. There's a new a series of Eversource solar grants that are available, and it took a lot of work and kind of crunch time to put it together, but Sam's almost as good at math as the student we saw in that video, adding 14 plus 3, so pretty close. He uses an abacus, but that's okay. No, I'm just kidding. Sam's brilliant, and between Sam and Steve, we've submitted for 4 of our schools applications for advanced solar technology that will really help our schools to be more efficient and economical, and actually make revenue over the course of the years ahead. So it's a new program that has become available. So we're trying to take advantage of as many money-saving energy efficiencies and other ways of operating in an efficient way. Speaking of building operations and efficiencies, as you know, we've been in the process of the middle school renovation. At the last board meeting, we heard a report about where we stand with the renovation project preparation. The plan is to have it, to submit the application to the state by June 30th. That's the deadline in order to be considered in the next iteration of grants for the coming year. There's a lot of work that's already been done. Actually, tomorrow morning, Mrs. Roberts and I and a team, Sam, Steve, Kevin, a number of us are meeting to look at the ed specs, to review those. We did request a space exemption. Right now, the building's actually larger than, as far as the number of students go, it's larger than it would be if you were building a brand new school. The current building is about 105,000 square feet if you take out the district-wide storage that's there, of about another 8,000 square feet, 7 to 8. So a brand new building would be about 94,000 square feet for the population that's projected at the time of the grant application. So we worked pretty hard on submitting a request for an exemption because we have a lot of unique programs at the middle school. The VEX robotics program, the STEAM programs, the STEAM labs, the art programs, all the wonderful things we have. We have an auditorium, which many middle schools don't have, and that's in tremendous shape and already has all the seating replaced a few years ago. We have an auxiliary gym that there's great plans for the school. So without going too far, this will go to the grant application is going to be submitted by June 30th. We are using Construction Services Group as our owner project manager to get us to that point. So the next steps are really refining the ed specs and then working on a cost projection for the project and submitting the application. It will go to a referendum vote for the town. That date is still uncertain. Originally it was planned for late spring. It may take place, it can take place after it's submitted for application, so it may be early fall. So stay tuned for more details, and I'll keep the board updated as the Capitol Building project meets and as we continue to progress. And just a couple more quick things. I did want to congratulate our VEX robotics team. I had the good fortune of being an inspector of all the robots before they went into competition on a week ago Saturday, and it's really exciting to see about 44 teams who came. My mic just, oh, there it is.
It's the lights.
Maybe turn off the lights. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Anyway, to make that story short, when I was at the competition for a few hours, it was just great to see the excitement, the enthusiasm. So many kids were interested in it, and so many kids are here at the high school. We had some issues with moving forward with a robotics team at the high school a number of years ago after having 2 state championship robotics teams at First Robotics, but then there was a bit of a gap in students who were interested and trouble finding advisors. So I am very much in our high school principal, Mr. Johnson, Stephen Shaw, the instructional leader for the CTE department, Unified Arts, are very much committed to working with Camille Westfall, who's a tremendous leader of the VEX robotics at the middle school, and developing a successful program here at the high school, and also looking at elementary options to provide that enrichment opportunity for kids in a VEX Go. So we're learning all about it and how it could really tie in with our Portrait of the Graduate work, because what else robotics really encapsulates being communicative, collaborative, resilient, mindful, and innovative. So those are the 5 pillars of our Portrait of the Graduate. So very excited about that and very much committed to that. And finally, I'll end with strategic planning updates as we look at the wonderful things in our district and as we plan forward for the future with our Board of Ed and with the members of the community. I did send a survey. We've only had about 150 responses so far. We're really looking for a broad collection of responses from not only the community members, the staff, also the students. I'm going to be making a video tomorrow to send out to the students and ask them to complete this. It's a really short survey that basically asks, what are you proud that we're doing now in the district, and what can we do better, or what's another idea that you think we should bring forward and really plan for through a strategic planning process. And once we have a set of ideas, we'll send those back out to everyone, a group of maybe 12 to 15 ideas, and we'll have everyone rank those ideas in order of importance, and then we'll work with subcommittee teams to help move that forward. So please complete the strategic planning survey if you would, and we appreciate your insight and your input. And I will end my report by echoing the sentiments, thanking the Board of Education. It is, as I wrote my last newsletter, my s'more newsletter, it's an unpaid volunteer job. When they run for office, they get tricked into thinking it's only 10 meetings a year. What's the worst that could happen? It can be difficult in normal times. It's really difficult, and kind of, you know, what are even more difficult times with COVID and you know, the division that we're feeling in our country, the fears that we have for Ukraine and our world as a whole. You know, it just compounds everything. It's not easy to be a leader. I get paid to be a leader. They're all volunteers. So, you know, there are differences in personalities and opinions and what everyone brings to the table. I'm confident that we can all come together. We met for about an hour and a half before the meeting tonight to work on some board development. That work's going to continue. So, again, it's not an easy responsibility. You know, we all have. I make more mistakes than I can probably list here. We'd be here a long time. So, you know, we're all working toward you know, making this unit of board members that I serve under working as efficiently, effectively as we can, and in the best interests of our district, our kids, our families, our staff. So I just want to thank our Board of Education. I know there's some other gifts that didn't make it here, but we have other gifts coming as well. So thanks to the schools for making and providing gifts to our board members as well. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I guess we'll start out with the board subcommittee reports. Garrett?
As usual, with a few days of school being canceled because of the inclement weather, but the PHS community, students, and staff adapt to the changes. As the COVID-19 numbers continue to lower, students look forward to the conclusion of this pandemic and the continued loosening of restrictions. Student officers and the senior class advisors are planning the end of the school year, such as prom, class picnic, super senior banquet, and even graduation. Overview of events at PHS. Looking back, the PHS Jazz Band performed at the Clark Terry Jazz Festival at the University of New Hampshire this past weekend under the direction of Mr. Talata, and thank you to Mr. Page for buying our meal that night. PHS celebrated Pi Day today by raising money for Student Council, and part of the proceeds went to support Ukraine. For every teacher that students donated $100 for, they were pied in the face during one of the lunch waves.
Oh my gosh.
Spirit Week is this week at PHS. Tomorrow is Pajama Day, Wednesday is PHS Spirit Gear Day, and Thursday is Green and Gold Day in celebration of St. Patrick's Day. Looking ahead, we have the PHS Band Concert, which is this Wednesday, March 16th, in the PHS Auditorium at 7:30. We have no school this Friday, March 18th, for professional development. The PHS Theater Unlimited Club, run by Mr. Ricardo, they are premiering a world premiere play called it's titled A Word for Mother, and the showings are this Friday at 7:30 and this Saturday at 2 p.m. in this auditorium. Next Wednesday, March 23rd, is the PSATs for sophomores and juniors. And that concludes the student's perspective. Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett. Foster, Facilities and Finance Subcommittee report.
There is no report. We have not met since our last meeting.
Thank you. Crystal, Policy Subcommittee report?
There's no report.
Rebecca?
There's no report. We will be meeting on March 28th.
Thank you. The Outreach Subcommittee report? No report, okay. PAC Liaison for the high school, Foster?
Yes, the PAC met on the 9th of March, and at that time, Mr. Johnson did announce to the parents that Mr. PHS is going to be on April 7th. There would be another Learning Adventure Day the following day on April 8th. The class picnic is now set for May 8th. graduation has been set already, and that is on June 10th. The prom, which is both the junior and senior prom, is going to be on May 21st. They have not yet set a date for the Night of Excellence because there was a conflict with some other things going on with the sports program on the date they'd chosen. At the meeting, the PAC had a treasury balance of $4,334.71. That did not include the $183 they raised with their Butter Braids event, which was sadly a much lower amount than they'd had in the past. And they're looking at some other fundraising efforts to get money for scholarships. Right now they have money for 2. They would like to have 3 $500 scholarships. They're thinking of continuing on with the fundraiser with the VIP parking at the graduation, also for doing some sales for the graduate signs, and also they're also looking into continuing on the Adopt a Senior program at the PHS PAC. Their next meeting is going to be on May 11th.
Thank you. Rebecca Toplon, School Liaison.
Sure. The Toffland PTO met on February 16th. They got in some checks for some of their fundraisers for their ongoing box tops. They received a check for $266.40. For their Bay State textiles, $81.50. For the Smashburger fundraiser, $261.91. For the Minifigs fundraiser, $42, and from the Rite Aid, $11.25. They're still working on stocking the staff lounge. They restocked the lounge on February 11th and had quite a few donations from a few families. They're always looking for more donations. They have $65 that has been donated through Cheddar Up that they haven't used yet, but they will be. And they also offer parents, if they cannot get to the shopping, they can do it for you. You can send in via Cheddar Up and they will do the shopping for you. They're going to have their Scholastic Book Fair 3/21 through 3/25 during the parent-teacher conferences. They will be looking for some volunteers to staff the book fair. The yearbook has started revving up. They're starting to work on our yearbook. They have some upcoming fundraisers, Friendship Grams for St. Patrick's Day. The calendar raffle was postponed, and they're looking at possibly doing that or something else coming up. And they're going to have the 4 o'clock flower sales. They've joined forces with the Pettit Foundation, and they're going to be doing a 50-50 profit. The 4 o'clocks are $5 each, and sales will start in April, and pickup would be Mother's Day weekend. And the Apex Fun Run, May 2nd through May 13th. They're also working on their end of the year picnic. That's that, and their next meeting is March 16th.
Great, thank you so much. Let's go to Cassandra with the Linden Street School.
Thank you. The Linden PTO met on Wednesday, March 9th. They had success with their lollygrams. They brought in $1,077 profit. They are also able to provide a lollygram to each student and provided lollygrams or lollipops to the staff members as well. This was a Valentine's Day fundraiser. Their Hop House fundraiser brought in $300. Tomorrow night, they're going to be doing the Lucky Leprechaun bingo virtually at 6 p.m. Children enjoy doing that. They play bingo, and then the following day, they'll be able to get their prizes on St. Patrick's Day. In the spring, this April, they're going to be doing an excellent start to spring. There's going to be an obstacle course, inflatable slide, grab bags. They're hoping to have some food trucks, a 50-50 raffle, along with some raffle baskets. And that's going to be held on April 9th. It's a Saturday. And then our next meeting is going to be on the 6th of April. And that's what I have for an update.
Thank you. Crystal, for MSP.
The MSP PTC met on Tuesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. Let's see, they had a successful Oreogram sale for Valentine's Day. And then, let's see, they gave out some nurse appreciation gift cards, and they also did a really cool candy bar for teachers just to thank them for all they do. Just stay tuned to your email. I believe there's lots of great things coming up in the spring. There was talk of a cornhole tournament fundraiser. There was also talk about another bingo night for spring and possibly another paint night for spring. A lot of fun activities that the middle school families have enjoyed. And it was really exciting to talk about all the upcoming end of the year field trips that we hope we can move forward with. And also really exciting is the 8th grade dance they're starting to plan for the end of the year for 8th graders.
Nice. Is there a crack report, Becky?
I'm asleep at the switch.
What?
The last correct meeting was, I think you missed, you want to go to Rachel first and do the Wheeler update?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Actually, it'll be.
It's been a long night.
I actually do not have a report this
Okay.
month for Wheeler. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks.
I thought it was me. Could have been me, Anna. Correct, last met, it's almost a whole month ago because the next meeting is Wednesday the 16th. But at the meeting, we talked mostly legislative update, and we talked about the March Day on the Hill, which was held virtually and was attended by, I don't know, several of us, I think. And it was not the same virtually, so hopefully next year we'll get back to doing that under regular conditions. That's it.
All right, so next is unfinished business. We have no unfinished business this evening. So I'm going to go into the A through L policies. We have a large number of policies this evening. And as a reminder process, we will be removing policies from the table and approving them right after this as a second reading of each policy. If there are no objections, I will ask for a motion to remove the aforementioned policies, items A through L, from the table.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the aforementioned policies, items A through L, as presented?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. As a side note, the regulations were approved at last month's meeting as they only needed one reading and are placed under the consent agenda. For new business, we have A, the board open forum. Does anyone have anything they'd like to speak about?
Madam Chair, I'd like to be recognized.
Cassandra?
Thank you. So I just wanted to speak. Mr. LePage was so kind and generous in explaining that the new board members are in fact new, and it is volunteer. So when we have our meetings, we go by what's Robert's Rules, and it's run by a book, and Robert's Rules is this thick. And it's not easy, and it's a very daunting task. So to simplify things, I just wanted to speak on that real quick, that the school board meetings are a business meeting that's held in the public eye. We follow Robert's Rules to ensure the meeting runs smoothly and in a fair and organized fashion. The board chair is our conductor of the orchestra, and the members of the board take turns speaking as we are recognized. The agenda is placed to give order to the meeting and is created and posted to the public prior to our meeting. To move through the agenda, the chair gives motions as you've seen our chair do tonight, and we second motions, and then the process continues to discussion. And then we decide or vote whether or not to accept or to, if it's not accepted as a vote, it just goes away. So as things are given to a motion or a second motion, the only reason for it is to bring it to discussion. So I wanted to just educate the public that when we, as board members, bring a motion or second a motion, it's just because we want to discuss something. Nothing changes for policy. Nothing changes alarmingly. We cannot, in a board meeting, make anything happen. So I just want to reassure of the quorum for that. And hopefully get some grace from the public that, again, these are not easy rules to learn, and we are all doing that the best we can. And hopefully, as time goes on, we will all become much better. And our most important people are our children here in Plainville. You know, with all of that said, we're thinking of the kids, we're thinking of you, the teachers, and wanting to move things through. It's hard to remember that we still have to follow rules and how they all go together. So please be patient with us as we go through that. And I assure you that with the superintendent, who is doing a superb job, that we all agree, and with Lori by our side as chair, who's learning right beside us, we're gonna do great. So thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Would anybody else like to speak?
Madam Chair? I just wanted to say thank you so much for our board appreciation gifts. The pictures in the calendar are absolutely adorable, and I'm looking forward to using it along with our notebooks and our pens. And I just wanted to say, you know, it's not easy to come and speak at these meetings, and Nolan, you are just a rock star, and you are going to do amazing things. The amount of bravery that that takes, and to see you do it so eloquently is amazing. I think that's about it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I would just like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and especially for coming to exercise your First Amendment right. I am grateful for that. The good news is this Board of Education all has one unified goal, which is having a laser focus on our children and their education. And that is the intention of this board. A Board of Education's job, how we invoke change, is through policy. So it's through policy that we make change. To second what Cassandra said, when we bring something to the table, it could be interpreted by everyone differently because they don't know the intention behind it. Making a motion is, the intent is to have a conversation, and from that conversation will come transparency. I have the utmost respect for Mr. Stephen LePage. When my daughter went through this school system, he was phenomenal, and I need to say that, and he knows that. Unfortunately, I think folks might receive the intent as they feel it, not necessarily as the intention was. So to second what a lot of folks have said today, procedurally, we will learn. We are all human. We are all here to support our board chair and ensure that this board runs as effectively and efficiently as possible. Just to touch on a few concerns in regards to education, when I was elected to the Board of Education, I was put on a team, and I love being part of a team. I cannot proceed filtering through everyone else's personal bias and interpretation of my intentions. All I can do is my job that I was elected to do. And I think it was asked, you know, why do the folks that talk to me, why don't they come before the board? And I can answer that. People are not as comfortable coming and speaking about certain things because, like me, they might be stereotyped or categorized or judged. All I can ask is for a chance to give back to my home community, the school system that I went through and love, with the utmost respect for every person sitting here. Our focus is on education, and we're going to have a difference of opinions about what that might look like, and it is very difficult in this current climate for us to talk about certain topics because they are often met with resistance. So we're in a community that believes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And inclusion is an action or state of including or being included within a structure or group. There's nothing within that definition that says, unless you are blank. It's everyone. And the inclusion that I believe in includes inclusion of thought. I don't categorize people by skin color. I don't even think that way. The young man, Nolan, you kept me up all night because all I could think about was that there was some young man out there that genuinely believes that a sitting Board of Education member was racist against Asians. I don't think that way, genuinely. I am at a level of true inclusion, true equity, and true diversity. I don't think in terms of skin color. So I can't apologize for something that wasn't the intention that I had. That was the bias in which something is received. I can't apologize for something that wasn't my intention. So my intention was not to be racist. I'm sincerely sorry that it was taken that way. And my intention was never, ever to override Mr. LePage. As elected Board of Education members, we are here to create change through policy. That's our job. You might not like the motion, but the conversation is the most important part, and we need to be able to have difficult conversations. And after the meeting we had tonight, I think we're going to be in a position to do that. I think every person up here is reasonable, and if we can leave personal biases at the door with an emphasis and focus on our kids, I would have to imagine that every person sitting here agrees with that 100%, and that is the goal and the intention. I offer myself to each and every one of you sitting out there in the audience. If you have any specific questions or concerns, I'm here. Let's have the conversations in the best interest of my hometown school system. So thank you for the time, and thank you again for coming and speaking out.
Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else?
I would just like to say thank you. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, Read Across America Day. It was so great to be back in the schools, you know, to be back in person and get to see those smiling faces. I was able to read to Miss Dodenhoff's second grade class at Linden, and also to Mrs. Valentine's pre-K class too. And I read a fun book, because my kids are all grown up. Nobody wants to read with me anymore, but I found this fun book, because I love picture books, about superheroes and how we all are superheroes, you know, being kind, best friends, we have our teachers, and it was just really fun to be back in the schools and to see what we're doing, what we're really doing, our real focus. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity and can't wait to get back in there again soon. So thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. Would anybody else like to speak?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just real quickly, thank you for everyone that comes out and addresses the board. We know it's not easy. And for Mr. LePage to kind of recognize the role of the board and the fact that, you know, we're volunteer folks, but what we have to do is very serious. And what we do together as a group of 9 people is really important. And we got off on a rocky start, and we'll move back, and we'll get better at this, and we'll move together as a group, and we'll do it because it's the right thing for Plainville, it's the right thing for the community, the right thing for the kids in the schools. That's what we always do. We've had rocky starts before, and we will get through this one.
Yes, I would just really like to thank the team from our 3 elementary schools that I think gave a very concise and informative presentation to us tonight of what is going on at this level of our education system and of our kids, and how you are compensating for just the usual problems you have there, but also what has been compounded by what we've been going through for the last 2 years with COVID. So it was an excellent, very informative presentation, and I thank you for taking the time and staying with us this rather long meeting tonight. So thank you so much for an excellent presentation.
Anyone else? I guess that leaves me. So I'd just like to take this time to thank everybody for coming forward. I know it's not easy to have to come in here and speak about the things that you all have. It's not easy for us to listen to either. So I just wanted to thank you all for coming here, and you know, I hope that we can all move forward professionally and maturely and act in the best interests of the students and staff. I am not perfect, I make mistakes, and I will always endeavor to put my best self forward to improve or solve contentious issues. I ask that the Board of Ed, Mr. LePage, and the citizens and staff of Plainville please allow me the opportunity. As we all know, being new and learning a new process can be challenging. Again, I apologize. I do accept responsibility for the inefficient and unprofessional meeting, and I do vow to work harder to regain the trust of the board members, Mr. LePage, and our citizens. So thank you all for listening, and we do appreciate all your comments. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
May I be recognized?
Sure.
I just want to say thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. What are we doing now? Are we doing the new business? Oh no, we did that, right? Turf committee report? Oh, quarterly special education cost report, Mr. Adlerstein.
Yeah, this is quick. 4 times a year, you ask us to report on special education outplacement costs from a financial perspective, just looking at it from a financial perspective, because it's such a large item and it could swing. And it's been unfavorable since October, since the beginning of the year, and it continues to be unfavorable. If we ended the year now, our outplacement costs would be unfavorable to budget, about $473,000. And that's been since October, so about where we expect to end the year. We've been managing it since October. And the next report to you is in June. Ms. Trzynski's here if you have any questions related to special education, or if you have any cost questions, I'm here.
No turf committee report. The next report will be given in May. I'd like to request approval of the Plainville Association of School Administrators contract for July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the 3-year collective bargaining agreement for the Plainville Association of School Administrators for July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025, as presented through the red line agreement?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion carries. We're going to move to the consent agenda. Is there any need for discussion of any of the items on the consent agenda? If so, we'll need a motion to take that item off the consent agenda for discussion.
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the consent agenda as presented and included in our board packet.
Thank you.
I second that.
Can I get a motion to approve the entire consent agenda as presented, lines A through G?
That's what I just made, Madam Chairman.
Oh, sorry. Do I have a second? Okay, Rachel.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. And do I have a motion, what? Oh, yeah.
Motion to
Do I have a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn?
I make a
Motion to adjourn. Second.
The motion unanimously carries. What? Yeah.